Football shirts. I just love yapping about football shirts. About 1 year ago, I released a video detailing each Premier League team's best football shirt. We're now back, looking at the complete opposite. This is each of the current Premier League teams' worst football kits from their history. This is all my own opinion, of course. I know that some shirts may represent some very special times for their respective clubs and fans. I mean, for example, I love this, the 21-22 third shirt, because of what happened wearing this kit and during that season, but I can accept that other people will not like it, and that is fair enough. Even I didn't like it when it first released, but it's definitely grown on me, and it's just a lovely piece of kit now. Saying that though, I am only a fan of Nottingham Forest, so I can't speak on any other Premier League teams, so if I do pick a special shirt, I can only apologise, but it just doesn't look good. With that all being said, there are some really terrible shirts coming up, and before we get started, please drop your least favourite shirt in the comments below. Could be from your own Premier League team, could be from a team that's not in the Premier League. Just drop your least favourite shirt in the comments below. I'm sure we can have a laugh at some of the terrible kits that are out there, because my god, there are quite a few. So we're going to go in alphabetical order, and of course the first team is Arsenal. And I've chosen their 2015-2016 third shirt. I don't think it's controversial to say that Arsenal are normally one of the best dressed clubs in the league, especially at this point in time, but even saying that, they have had their fair share of stingers in the past. This shirt in particular was created by Puma, and is one of the most questionable shirts that came from this partnership, and believe me, there were a fair few. It's a mainly black shirt with 4 different coloured diagonal stripes across the body of the shirt. These stripes are in white, gold and turquoise, and a darker shade of turquoise. They just don't really make much sense whatsoever. I could sort of understand it if it was 3 sash designs, but it's not. It's almost 1 sash, which is then stopped partway up the shirt for a box for the sponsor, which makes it look even worse. The fit of this shirt is crazy as well, as they always ran a little tight under Puma. Every kit from this era with Puma was just really tight for Arsenal, and I don't really understand why, but you could definitely see it. The gold logos are a nice touch at the very least, but they're still not great, and why are you wearing gold if you're not won anything? That's what I'm going to say. Although, to be fair to them, they did win the FA Cup the previous season, so I will allow the gold this once. But you're on thin ice. And then moving on to Aston Villa, we have the 2019-2020 third shirt. Now, Aston Villa aren't normally too adventurous when it comes to their kits, but whatever they tried here with Kappa just didn't work. This shirt was inspired by the iconic 93-95 away shirt, but only really the colour scheme. Nothing of the design really comes through for this. The red on green aspects don't really do it for me in the logos and on the prints. Even if it is reminiscent of the original shirt, it didn't exactly work there, and it definitely doesn't work here. The pattern across the body of the shirt also doesn't look that good and doesn't really make sense when you look at its inspirations. I can't tell if that was drawn from another one of their previous shirts in the 90s, but as from somewhere it wasn't. Doesn't look good, really. Also, being a Kappa shirt, those logos are placed too high for my liking. And again, it's a very tight fit. Kappa are known for their tight fitting shirts. This is nothing new for them, but still, just doesn't look good. And personally, this shirt just doesn't really do it for me. I mean, I'm not a fan of the red sponsor. Don't like the red logos. I know it's part of the colour scheme of the shirt, but I don't think it looks that good. And I'm really not a fan. Sorry, Villa fans, if you love this. I'm not sure why you would, but it's not really that good. Prince William is definitely fuming right now. Then move on to Bournemouth, and I've chosen their 2016-17 away shirt. I want you to, for a second, just imagine having a shirt made by JD Sports. Well, Bournemouth had that for 2 seasons. Commiserations, lads. And for those 2 seasons, they were not very good shirt designs. And this is one of the worst of the lot, in my opinion. But there were some really dishonourable mentions that could have easily taken this spot. It's a blue on blue hoops design with some white cuffs and a hem, which are very big for some reason, and then completely thrown off by the red logo and sponsor. Now this is especially strange as last season they had, or the previous season before this shirt, the 15-16 season, they had recolored the badge and it matched the kit. And this shirt would have looked better if they'd done the same, but for whatever reason they decided not to. I know they've not changed the sponsor colour at all on any of their previous shirts, so it kind of makes sense that it's still in red here, despite it looking terrible. And just the JD logo really drags it down further. They're not associated with football that much for a good reason, and I think their foray into football shirts was very misguided, and thank God they've not done so since, because these were some awful shirt designs. I'm sorry, Bournemouth fans, if for some reason you like any of these kits, but they just don't look good. And you're not a serious footballing institution running around with a JD Sports branded football shirt. Let's be real. And then move on to Brentford and the 2018-19 away shirt. There is a good reason that there aren't really many brown football shirts out there, because they're very hard to make look good. Unfortunately for Brentford, they failed. I'm really not a fan of the template that Adidas used in this shirt design either. It doesn't really lend well to a good football shirt in my opinion. I imagine it could work well with different colours, but not brown, orange and white. Just doesn't really work for me. The white stripe is a good touch at the very least, but it doesn't really do much to salvage the shirt either. Just kind of tacked on there. It looks better for it, don't get me wrong, but doesn't really add much to the design. The badge also sticks out like a sore thumb, but kudos for a colour match sponsor at the very least. I know that badges being made to colour match shirt designs wasn't really a thing until more recently, but this is coming to that period where it was more and more common, so it can kind of be forgiven, but it's still going to be one of my criticisms for shirts earlier as well, because we've seen what we can do when we change the colours, and then going back, it just doesn't look as good. I know there were definitely reasons for that, but Brentford here, this ain't it, Chiefs. Should have attempted to recolour the badge at the very least. And then move on to Brighton and Hove Albion, and I've chose the 2009-2011 away shirt. Now, I normally like it when a team invert their home colours for an away shirt, and I'm also a sucker for centralised logos as well. But it's just the actual template of the shirt here that ruins it for me. What is the point of this curved bit across the body of the shirt? It cuts right through the stripes and leaves the design looking very unbalanced and pretty much unfinished. Just look at it. Why have they done this? Pray tell, because it doesn't look great. The sponsor also isn't brilliant, but colour matches the actual shirt design, so we'll allow it here. And like I said, centralised badge is just brilliant. Big fan of that. Putting it in a stripe. You've had your work done for you there. But everything else about the shirt I just don't like. I'm not sure why it's got some gold trim as well. What's going on there? Are you Atlanta United from the MLS? What's going on with the colour scheme? Let's be real. It had the makings of a very good shirt, but the template ruins it and makes it one of Brighton's worst kits. Well, their worst in my opinion. Sorry lads. You were so close to greatness. So close. And you ruined it. Then move on to Chelsea and the 2020-21 third shirt. Oh boy. Chelsea. What am I looking at here? Please. What am I looking at? Now, pink shirts can work, don't get me wrong. It's not been done often, but if done correctly, they do work and are normally bangers. And also, gradient stripes can work as well. They're not my favourite design element in a shirt, but they can work when done correctly. But adding them both together, this just ain't it. It's a pink base with blue gradient stripes across the body of the shirt that fade towards the bottom. At least the sponsors and logos all match at the very least, eh? That is something, but in this day and age, seeing what we've seen so far, it really is something that at least they match in some aspects. But it just doesn't look good. I don't think these colours work together. I know red and blue, they are opposites, and this is a really light red, which basically makes it a pink. It just doesn't work for me. And I feel like you could have had it pink with maybe like white stripes, or kept the blue stripes and had like a white base or a black base, something like that. I'm not too sure how they could have fixed it personally, but I just know it would have looked good if they changed the colours that work better. Pink and blue don't do it for me, so it's an L. Apologies, Chelsea fans, but I imagine most of you probably feel the same way, because it's a bit hideous, I'm not going to lie. And then move on to Crystal Palace and the 2006-07 away shirt. This is just a boring shirt, quite frankly. It's a largely grey shirt with some curved white design at the bottom of the kit. Not sure what's going on there, much like the Brighton shirt. Why? There really isn't much more that I can say about this kit. It's just very boring and doesn't look good. And that sponsor isn't great either. All in all, boring shirt, plain shirt, bad shirt. And then move on to Everton and the 2015-16 away shirt. Is this an Everton kit or a pair of pyjamas? Because I'm leaning towards the latter. And I'll be honest, it also gives me clown and or prisoner vibes, especially the long sleeve variant. It's just those striped sleeves, man, and also down the body of the shirt as well. I just don't think they work for a football shirt. Now, don't get me wrong here, you can have stripes, they can work, you can put them on the sleeves, they can work, but not in this colour scheme. It just doesn't work. If the stripes were a different colour, or the body of the shirt was a different colour, it probably would have looked better. But in this colour scheme, no. Doesn't work. Like I said, looks like a pair of pyjamas, looks like a prisoner outfit, and again, just quite a boring shirt really. The only element of design is those sleeves, and it wasn't done well. Sorry Toffee fans, but it ain't great. I'm sure you're used to disappointment at this point, so is that really anything new? And then move on to Fulham and the 2012-2013 away shirts. Fulham have had some pretty decent shirts recently. They've been quite nice by Adidas. However, this is not one of those. This was during the Kappa era for Fulham, and none of those shirts were good in my opinion. But this is the worst of the lot. The 11-12 third was close, and also the 10-11 third was also very close. But this one just takes the cake in my opinion. And one of the most egregious things about this shirt for myself is the neckline. It is very, very strange, and it is very much exemplified in how they've designed this shirt and the different colour blocks they've used. It's really accentuated by being in black against the gold orange body. And also in classic Kappa fashion, those logos are too damn high. Why is the Kappa logo all the way up here? What is going on? I don't understand it. Just bring it down to a normal level, guys. Please. Colours do work together in all fairness, but the overall design of the shirt is not great. I don't know why anyone would have purchased this, really. I've seen people that have. I don't know why. It's not the best shirt from the season, and it's just not a good shirt in general. But I guess if you support Fulham, you might buy any shirt, so what do I know? I would own pretty much any Forest shirt, apart from the one that you'll see coming up soon. And then move on to Ipswich Town with the 2018-19 away shirt. This is a very striking kit, but for all the wrong reasons. It's an orange checkered design made up of different thickness lines, which isn't bad in itself. It's a design that can work and is very reminiscent of Houston Dynamo in the MLS, in my opinion. The shirt itself, though, is brought down by that awful looking sponsor, and the badge not being colour matched, but we'll allow that. That sponsor, though, really is awful. Just take a look at it, drink it in. Why we've got this shiny purple sponsor on an orange shirt? What is going on there? Would it really have hurt this company to change their colours slightly to look a bit better on this kit? Would it really affect your marketing that much? I don't think so, personally. The badge should have been recoloured in my opinion. We are getting into that time frame where it's a lot more common, and it could have saved the shirt if it just matched a little bit better. Even just changing the blue to orange could have done a lot more for this kit. But other than that, it's just bad to look at, really. I don't like it. My eyes are bleached. And then we move on to Leicester City and the 2013-14 away shirt. This is another very boring yet questionable shirt. It's brown and yellow. Is that really the colour scheme that Puma chose to go with? Brown and yellow? Fluorescent yellow at that? Oh my god. This just does not look appealing whatsoever. The King Power sponsor does not look great either, but it was colour matched. However, looking back at their home shirt from this season, that doesn't look intentional, but it kind of worked, so we'll give it a pass there. The badge also sticks out like a sore thumb here, Really should have been recolored at the very least to look a little bit passable. But just that bright blue logo on this dull brown shirt really doesn't do anything for me. And it looks really out of place. I know it wasn't the era of bad recolors, I get that. But they could have broke the mold and actually made a decent looking kit. And they just chose not to. So, you know, the game is the game. And then we move on to Liverpool and the 2013-14 third shirts. The Warrior era of Liverpool shirts have become infamous in some circles because of just how bad those designs were. There were many to pick from, believe me, but this is the most egregious one in my opinion. And oh my god, some of the leaks from around this era, wow, they were bad. But this was an official shirt and it's still terrible. The black, purple and white colour scheme with gold logos and applications is just a very strange design choice. Black and white works, black and purple works, even white and purple would work. Not all together though, as you can very clearly see. And the weird graphic design across the body of the shirt that accompanies this colours is not much better. Also, alternate coloured sleeves but only in little bits. What is going on here? I think the shirt designer for this kit smoked some crack and just went ham because it looks horrendous. And you know what I'd really like to think, right? I wonder what the players think when they get shirts that look this bad, because they have to wear it. They're part of the club. But do you think they're happy with it? Do you think they discuss the bad shirts as well? We see clubs drop videos when they release a new shirt and the players are gassing it up. But do you think, like, in their own group chats, they really just rag on a shirt if it looks terrible? I'd love to know. That'd be very interesting. Because I imagine this shirt was one of them. My god, it's awful. And then we move on to Manchester City and the 21-22 third shirt. Puma are making quite a few appearances here, aren't they? Not looking good, boys. This template graces many teams outfitted by Puma at the time, and they were all just terrible. Who'd have thought that removing the club's badge and replacing it with some text would work? Spoiler alert, it didn't, and that's why you don't see the design anymore. Now, in all fairness, the badge is still present as a sublimated print throughout the shirt, but that was only on the authentic versions. The replica versions had the badge nowhere to be seen and looked like knockoff t-shirts. It was terrible. And still is terrible. But, you know, just this whole template was bad. It was not a good template. Thank God it only existed for a season. Like, I was just looking at all those templates as I was going through making this list, and they're all so bad. Some were done better than others. Some had a unique font. Man City's font was boring. So that may have elevated it a little bit, but it's still the worst kit Man City have had. And it was not a Puma Cook sesh. Do not try removing the badge ever again, because it does not work. We've seen time and time again where you try something new and you take the badge off the kit. What's going on? This is a message to Puma directly. What are you doing? Stop it. Make normal football shirts like you have been doing this season, please. And then move on to their rivals, Manchester United, with the 2020-21 third shirt. As much as I don't like Manchester United, they have a lot of nice kits in their history, and I'm low-key jealous of the effort Adidas puts in, apart from this season. This is not one of those nice kits though. It's a unique dazzle camo design in black and white with added red logos, which is a nice touch. This is arguably the most accurate dazzle camo design we've seen on a football shirt, but that doesn't mean it looks good. The only thing that works is the colours, because that's how they often appeared on ships during World War II, but you're a football club, not a battleship. You don't need your movement to be broken up under the water because you're on grass. And the design is further brought down by that horrendous full colour sponsor. Chevrolet, what are you doing? Why? It doesn't match any aspect of the shirt and really sticks out like a sore thumb, and just in general looks bad. And then move on to Newcastle United and the 2015-16 third shirt. Another Puma entry that is shades of a previous kit we've already looked at. It's another multicolour sash design with a pink and white sash on a navy background. This is looking mighty familiar. The sash is split by the other looking Wonga sponsor that adds yet another colour to the shirt that just doesn't work. Honestly, Wonga as a sponsor, it brings back memories, and they're not good, and it's very much a sponsor of their time. It did look okay on some of their shirts where the colours somewhat matched. But on this kit, it's just very bad. And the logos also seem a little high as well, which is never good. But this, very questionable and, in my opinion, very bad. And then move on to Nottingham Forest and the 2013-14 away shirts. My beloved Nottingham Forest have had a few stinkers in the past, but this is the worst of the lot and is reminiscent of a very bad era for Nottingham Forest, which certainly doesn't help. It's a black/dark grey body with a red secondary colour that just doesn't really work. Red and black is normally a cheat code when it comes to shirt design, but that's only if the design is nice, and this Adidas template was not. It's also further worsened by the horrible Fawaz refrigeration sponsor. The Fawaz era was not a good time at Nottingham Forest, and having this emblazoned on the front of the shirt just doesn't work. He could have put it in red, which might have looked a bit better, but in white it really sticks out. And we know he's recoloured sponsors, because on the third shirt it's in blue. All in all, not a good shirt. Get it out of my sight. I would not own this football kit. The only Nottingham Forest shirt I don't think I'd want to own. Obviously, if it gets given to me, then I'll keep it in my collection, but I'm not going to go out of my way to buy this. Good lord. And then move on to Southampton and the 2019-20 away shirt. A rare Under Armour appearance on this list, but for a very good reason. This shirt does not look good. The Saints aren't exactly known for good shirts, in my opinion. Hummel have been doing better for them recently, but that partnership's over, so it's probably going to go back down the pan. And yeah, this just really takes the cake as a bad shirt, and believe me, there are a fair few contestants. It's a mostly black shirt with a yellow chest/shoulder band that features a black strap design throughout. Now, that in itself isn't too bad, and I imagine as a Dortmund shirt, it might actually work, with a few details changed here and there, of course. But my god, that sponsor is horrific. A bright blue Asian betting sponsor just does not work here. Don't care who you ask, that is not good. And it's besmirched many a Southampton kit as well. Sticks out like a sore thumb. If it was yellow, it may have been a little bit better, but because it's in bright blue, it just does not work. And not to mention a non-recoloured Saints badge. Yep, Southampton badge isn't recoloured either. I mean, it's par for the course at this point, but it could look better if that was in black and yellow as well. Oh boy. And then move on to Tottenham Hotspur and the 2015-16 away shirt. Another Under Armour entry here. And this time it's with Spurs. Under Armour actually made some pretty decent kits during their time with Spurs, but this was one of the stinkers. It's a light blue number with some navy blue design elements that just don't work. It's an interesting take on the classic hoops design, with the stripes getting thinner further down the body they go, but it just looks a bit odd, really. I don't like it. I can't put my finger on this design. I'm not sure what it reminds me of, but as a football shirt, it just doesn't look good. That's all I have to say, really. Not a fan of this at all. And then move on to West Ham United and the 2008-2009 away shirt. West Ham are another team that generally have quite solid shirt designs, but this is not one of those. It's a sky blue shirt with claret and white elements. Now that in itself isn't that bad, but the design and implementation of those colours doesn't really help things. It features a claret and white stripe chest band in which the Umbro and club crest sit. Very nice. The Umbro logo does sit a little too high for my liking though. Should have been centralised within that band, but I guess they couldn't have done that in two colours, so I understand why it's in one colour and not both. Still doesn't look good though. And I think the most egregious thing for this shirt is that massive claret box of a sponsor. Doesn't look great, not a good sponsor either, but at the very least, the sponsor was colour matched, which is more than you can say for most shirts on here. Still looks bad though. It was that Umbro era where they weren't really making good shirts. They've clawed it back now and are making some brilliant kits, but back then, it was ropes for Umbro, and that can be seen in this kit here. Yeah, I've never actually seen this shirt being worn by anyone in real life, so I don't think West Ham fans rated it either. If you like this shirt, please speak out, but I don't think you exist personally. And finally, Wolverhampton Wanderers and the 2013-14 away shirt. Puma makes an appearance for a final time as probably the record manufacturer in this little list. And once again, it ain't great from Puma. I've never been the biggest fan of Wolves kits. I think most of them are pretty bad. But this one it takes the cake. It is the worst thing I've ever seen in a Wolves shirt. It's a largely plain purple shirt with a little bit of white thrown in. The white flash on the left just looks very strange and houses a very high Puma logo as well. But that's just odd in general, very unbalanced. Then the Wolves logo comes in and just hasn't been recolored and just looks very off on this shirt design. You've got a little orange hexagon on a purple shirt. Why? Why not make it purple? Or just remove the orange and make it black. It would have looked much better. And you could still tell it's a Wolves kit because that's your logo. It's simple, guys. It really is simple. The sponsor isn't great either, but it's far from the most egregious thing I've seen. It works with the colours of the shirt at the very least. But Wolves have never had a good relationship with sponsors after Doritos. I think they've all been pretty bad as well. Very plain shirt, not much going on. It looks bad. That's why it's the worst. That is my roundup of the worst shirts from each current 25-26 Premier League club. What? So that was my roundup of the worst shirts from each of the current 24-25 Premier League outfits. As you can see, there were some real shockers within there. And yes, it was just home, away and third shirts because the goalkeeper kits are generally quite bad. They're generally template designs and were a bit of a cheat code for some of these clubs. So I opted against not including them in this list because that would have been far too easy. Apologies if I've somehow selected your favourite kit here, but this is my opinion and I thought it looked awful. So you should probably find another favourite shirt to like. The ranking was done purely based on aesthetics, aside from the forest shirt. A bit of a memory thrown in there for a not good era, and hence why that's exclusively shirts from the early 2000s onwards. Older shirts just have a silhouette that works and do a lot of heavy lifting, and much of the earlier 2000s shirts had the same going for them as well. But these were some stinkers. They epitomised that era in football shirt design where they weren't good and were largely forgettable. I think we're coming to another golden era of shirt design. Manufacturers seem to put a lot more effort in nowadays, which is really nice to see. And, you know, long may it continue. But most of these shirts are from that slump where things were not good, as I think you can tell. Anyways, I've been O2GT, and I hope you've enjoyed my ranking and yapping of these Premier League football shirts. If you're looking for a new kit manufacturer, maybe avoid Puma, or, you know, even hit me up. I'll do some bespoke design work for you. With a bit of charge, I can't lie. I'm not doing it for free. Your boy needs money. Yeah, let me know which kit you dislike the most in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.